What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Big, Bold, and On a Budget. In today's episode, I'm going to be teaching you how to make the ultimate orange chicken with a quick veggie stir fry and freshly steamed jasmine rice. Now, what makes this orange chicken so ultimate, you might ask? Well, you're just going to have to wait and find out. Let's get into it. So for today's recipe, you're going to need 1 large head of broccoli cut into florets, 3 large carrots peeled, 1 to 2 bunches of fresh green onion, 1 large navel orange, 2 Fresno chilies, those are red jalapenos if you can't find them in stores, fresh garlic, fresh ginger, shiitake mushrooms, rice flour, arrowroot starch. You can also use cornstarch if you have it laying around too. Jasmine rice, about 1.5 pounds to 2 pounds of boneless, skinless chicken thighs, soy sauce, white vinegar, sesame oil, avocado oil, seasoned rice vinegar, regular rice wine or rice vinegar works fine for this too, and then last but not least, oyster sauce. As you can see here, guys, I've already prepped my broccoli. It's pretty easy, just cut it into fairly large florets. Next, we're gonna start by prepping our carrots. I wanna knock the ends off of both of these, not taking off too much, just a little bit. And then we're gonna take these carrots and we're gonna cut them diagonally and thin on a bias. I'd say no thicker than about maybe 1/4 of an inch here. Next, you want to go ahead and start prepping your shiitake mushrooms. So what you want to do here is you want to remove as much of the stem as possible. The stem is very fibrous and chewy and tough. I really wouldn't recommend eating it. But once you've got the stem taken out of here, we're just going to go ahead and split these shiitakes right in half and set those to the side. And next for the stir fry, we're going to go ahead and start prepping our ginger. Now, I'm going to show you guys the way that I like to peel my ginger. Don't ever use a peeler on it. You end up wasting so much of the ginger. So what I'm going to do is just use the back of a spoon here and just gently pull that skin off all the way around until all of the skin is removed. You see how easy that is? Okay guys, and the next thing we're going to do with our ginger is we're going to cut some nice, thin as possible little slices out of this, and we're going to lay those over the top, kind of like the domino effect. So we're going to lay it out like that. Next, what we're going to do, line these guys up as best as you can, and start from one side to the other, making thin as possible cuts. Just like this. We want those nice, thin, long strips. Okay guys, and next we're going to start by prepping our sauce for our orange chicken. So the first thing you're wanting to do is add 2/3 of a cup of honey. If you don't have honey laying around, you can even use 3/4 of a cup of plain white sugar. Next, we're going to go in with 3/4 of a cup of distilled white vinegar. Next, we're going to go in with 1/3 of a cup of soy sauce, 1/4 cup of water, and then the zest. And the juice of 1 whole orange. Next we're gonna go in with about 1.5 tablespoons of rice vinegar, about 2 inches of ginger grated. Next you want to grate about 4 cloves of garlic into the sauce. I only used 2 here because mine were enormous. Next you're going to want to dice up 2 Fresno chilies, roughly chopped, but I like to keep them a little bit on the small side. If you don't like the heat too much, you guys, just go ahead and take those ribs and seeds out right there. I particularly like mine a little bit spicy, so I'm going to go ahead and leave them in. Then we're going to go across from those long strips and we're just going to make a small little dice, just like this. Doesn't have to be even, doesn't have to be perfect. Any cut really will do for this, but this is perfectly fine. Next for the sauce, we're going to whisk in 1 tablespoon of arrowroot starch with about 2 tablespoons of cold water here. And lastly, let's go ahead and whisk this sauce together until it's completely combined. Okay guys, now that our vegetables and our sauce is prepped, let's go ahead and get started on our chicken. So you're going to want to take the boneless, skinless thighs, and you're going to want to cut these into about 1-inch pieces. Once your chicken's all cut, go ahead and whisk together 1 cup of rice flour with 1/2 cup of arrowroot starch. Like I said, cornstarch works here too, guys. Alright guys, so next we're going to go ahead and get our oil ready for frying. We're going to heat up about 3/4 to about 1 cup of oil. Really all you need is just enough to shallow fry, so maybe a little bit more than what covers the bottom of your pan. Set your heat to medium-high until the oil reaches a temperature of about 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Next you want to go ahead and dredge these pieces of chicken until they're coated thoroughly. Make sure you knock off that little bit of excess. I know this part does make a mess, but it's going to be so worth it in the end. Now once your oil is nice and hot, go ahead and begin frying these pieces just a few at a time. You don't want to bring the temperature of that oil down too much. You're only going to want to flip these about once, maybe twice. We're not looking for a deep golden brown, just very, very lightly golden brown. Okay guys, once your chicken is nice and lightly golden brown, go ahead and transfer that to a sheet pan with a cooling rack lined with paper towels to catch all that excess grease. Next, go ahead and transfer your chicken into a 170-degree oven. This is just to help keep it warm until we're ready to finally put it in with the sauce. So now that our chicken's all fried, let's go ahead and start making our rice. You're going to want to bring to a boil 1.5 cups of water. Once your water is boiling, go ahead and whisk in about 1 teaspoon of salt and 1 cup of jasmine rice. So bring this back up to a boil, and once it's reached a complete boil, go ahead and reduce your heat down to medium-low and simmer for about 15 minutes or until the rice is completely cooked. Now that your rice is all done, go ahead and take a microwave-safe bowl and add your broccoli and your carrots in here, along with about 2 tablespoons of water. Cover tightly with plastic wrap and microwave for about 2 minutes on high, just until the broccoli starts to get soft. Now that your broccoli and carrots are nicely steamed, we're going to go ahead and move on to the rest of our assembly of our stir fry. Okay, now to start with our stir fry, you're going to want to use a very large preheated wok at high heat, and I mean use the highest heat that your stove has. If you don't have a wok, feel free to use your largest saute pan that you have. So the first thing we're going to do is go in with about a tablespoon of oil and then add our mushrooms. And then stir fry these for about 3 to 5 minutes until they start to go golden brown. And after your mushrooms are nice and golden brown, we're gonna go ahead and go in with about 3 cloves of sliced garlic. I know I didn't mention that earlier, but we're gonna go ahead and add it here, and our ginger that we prepped earlier. And then you're gonna wanna stir fry this for about 2 minutes or until it's fragrant. Alright, now that our garlic and ginger is nicely stir fried, we're gonna go ahead and add a couple more tablespoons of avocado oil. You can use extra virgin olive oil here. You can also use canola or vegetable oil, either whatever you have laying around the house. But from there, we're gonna go ahead and add our carrots and our broccoli into this. And stir fry for about 3 to 5 minutes, only flipping or turning about every minute or so. We want to be able to get some nice color on here. Okay guys, now that your vegetables have some nice color on them, we're going to go ahead and finish this off with about 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, 2 tablespoons of oyster sauce, and then about a teaspoon of toasted sesame oil. And just stir fry that together for about 2 minutes until that sauce is reduced directly onto the vegetables, and then set it aside. Okay, now that your vegetables are done, go ahead and remove your chicken from the oven and preheat that same large skillet that we used earlier to fry in. Now we're going to go ahead and cook the sauce. So go ahead and add all of your sauce mixture into here. I know this looks like a lot, guys, but we're going to reduce this down by at least half or until it begins to thicken. While your sauce is reducing, let's go ahead and prep our green onions. I like to do mine nice and thin and on a bias. I really don't like seeing the little rings of green onion. You guys can definitely step it up and make your plating look 10 times better by cutting these on a bias. Okay guys, now that our sauce is nicely reduced and thickened, it's time to add the ultimate to the ultimate orange chicken. And that's going to be 1 ounce of orange cognac right into the pan. Go ahead and cook this sauce for about another minute or 2, or at least until all of that alcohol is burned off. Trust me guys, you want to be sure of this. Now that all the alcohol is burned off, let's go ahead and add all of our chicken pieces to the sauce. And go ahead and give these guys a good stir until everything's nicely coated. You'll see that sauce start to reduce down a bit more. Just keep cooking until the chicken has a nice glaze over it. Alright guys, now that your chicken's nice and glazed, let's go ahead and get started on plating. Okay guys, we're going to start by plating about 1/2 cup of our rice. And then we'll do about 1 to 2 heaping spoonfuls of our chicken. Then go in with a nice spoonful of our stir-fried veg. And then we're just going to garnish with some of those freshly sliced scallions that we cut earlier. And then I've also got a little bit of sesame oil that we're just going to drizzle very, very lightly around the plate, along with just a spoonful or so of some of this fresh chili oil that we have as well. And there you have it guys, the ultimate orange chicken with a quick veggie stir fry and freshly steamed jasmine rice. I really hope you enjoyed today's video guys. Make sure you please leave a like and subscribe to me today. We're going to be putting out way better content every single time we film. I want to give a big shout out to Nikki behind the camera. She's been doing all the filming and editing for us. And yeah, so just enjoy guys, and we'll see you in the next one.